now we're just gonna go through Old Joe Clark, and I want to play the basic melody again, and just talk about what rhythm patterns we have in the melody. So I'll just do this myself, and you can listen and look at the sheet music if you have it. So this says rhythms within basic melody, and I've just listed out on top of each measure the 3 different patterns we have: quarters, quarter notes, eighth notes, and shuffle bow rhythm. So quarters to start with: eighths, quarters, shuffle bow, quarters, shuffle bow, stay with shuffle bow. Okay, I'm going to go on to the B part. We've got shuffle bow for a lot of this B part. Quarters, shuffle, still shuffling, quarters, shuffle. All right, so there's a reason I really kind of wanted us to take a look at what we've got in this melody, and I'll go into that in just a minute here. Now I want to do is, switch to a sheet that says 3 rhythmic embellishment techniques. And we'll just kind of quickly maybe go through 1A and 1B part of Old Joe Clark using only one rhythm figure at a time. So we'll start with quarter notes, and let's just do an A part for now. So I'll count us in. We're going to only quarter notes here. It's hard to do it because you really want to shuffle bow at the end of these lines, but we're just going to keep it quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now the B part. 1, 2, 3, 4. How does that feel? Again, not to be underestimated because it's so simple. I was thinking about David Grisman while I was playing that, how he will sometimes just really isolate a busier melody into quarter notes and be so intentional with it that it just really packs a punch at the time when he does it. We'll go on to the feel of now playing the melody all the way through with an 8-note feel. So this case, we're just gonna keep that wrist moving 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and hitting a note every time. And again, we'll just do 1 A part and 1 B part. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go ahead and repeat the A part. So this feel, the constant 8th note feel, as a mandolin player, this is a color you must have in your palette. And it ends up, this is something I feel like I kind of fell in love with a little bit later on in my playing. But you know, Monroe was doing this all the time. And I have really found that it can be such a cool way to simplify the melody sometimes and just hang on one note, but keep the rhythm driving. And so you can really drive some rhythm when you're just repeating the same note. That's one use of this. but this is a texture that I love to refer to now in my playing. And again, as a mandolin player, and if you're doing bluegrass, old time, this is a lot of what we do. So you really want to be able to play your tunes all the way through where you can, or play them all the way through and see where you can interject this feel. All right, one more feel to go here, the shuffle bow rhythm. So we've got one more feel. This is the shuffle bow rhythm. And this is going to be a great example. If you do go ahead and try to apply one of these feels all the way through an A part or B part of different tunes, you're going to find certain tunes will have these rhythms in them, and so they'll take to certain rhythms naturally. But there will be one of these that won't so much be a part of the melody. So you'll have to actually kind of learn to play the melody in a different way. Same melody notes, but it'll start feeling a little different and like sounding quite a bit different than when you usually play it. And for Old Joe Clark, putting the melody into shuffle bow, especially on the A part, is a little different way to play it. So I will give you an example, and it's here on this, again, on this 3 rhythmic embellishment techniques. Under the shuffle bow section, I go into the A part to demonstrate it. Sounds like this. Why don't we try that together? Let's do 2 A parts like that. And then we'll go ahead and just go on into the B part, do that twice. And again, the B part on this tune naturally has a lot of the shuffle bow throughout the whole B part. I trust you guys are tuning at home too. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Another B part. All right, so now we are going to move to another page. And again, this will be over 2 pages where I've created a solo. And it's really just a variation that uses its mixing and matching all 3 of these rhythms throughout Old Joe Clark. So this, let's see, the first page is called Full Solo Variation, Mixing and Matching Rhythmic Embellishment Techniques. You'll have one page that has 2 A parts written out. So 4 staves on that page, A and A2. And the second page is, the first B part starts with a 1 half measure of shuffle bow, 1, 2, and then it goes into constant 8s, 3 and 4, and so that's how that second page of this one's starting. Hopefully that helps you find your place. All right, so we're going to read through this together, and I'm just varying the rhythm throughout, and just really trying to kind of give you an exercise in just shaking it up here. It's not necessarily that this is the solo I would really do, but this is just a great way to try to practice it, is intentionally looking for, again, the first phrase, maybe I'll treat it this way, quarter notes, or the first half of the first measure of the first phrase, I'll do quarters and then go into shuffle, something like that. So this is just a great way, again, to practice and get used to using these feels, mixing and matching them again, to create that contrast that can help build the energy of a tune. I do want to mention, if I'm playing a tune and I'm improvising, contrast is something I'm always looking for. And in terms of rhythmic contrast, the first thing I'll do is notice what is the rhythm of the melody. And I'll try to do the opposite. So that's another practice technique you can use to try to get used to this technique. All right, let's jump in here. And I'll count us in. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Shuffle, 8s. Shuffle, 8s. Sorry, right there from the top of A2, we go into the shuffle. Actually, let's just go back to the top of this part and top of this solo. We'll do that first A part again into this A2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. How about we do that one more time, and I'll see if I can get it right this time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So very much an exercise. And now what I want to do is just play for you guys through Old Joe Clark and demonstrate what happens when you put these 4 techniques of sustain, those different textures that we have there, together with these 3 different rhythmic patterns. But really stick with just this very simple version of Old Joe Clark in the melody. And so this is really where the magic starts happening. Here I go. 1, 2, and count myself in. that's the kind of practice session where if you get into that, and I would have liked to have gone another time or two to really just start sinking into it a little more, into the groove of it. And then that's when I'd probably start feeling it a little more, get a sense of building the energy more. I didn't want to keep going there because of the A string being so out of tune. But that is a great practice session to have once you've really felt comfortable with all these different techniques and textures that you have here. You can really start mixing and matching them and really intentionally trying to get yourself to change course, which means you really got to know what the rhythms are in the melody. And you got to know what your chords are so that you know which open string to use along with it, or a double stop that you could use along with the melody at the time. So that is basically it. So big takeaways from today. You gotta establish a feel in order to get off the melody, or to keep the melody even, and infuse it with some life. And two great ways to do it are using sustain and contrast. Sustain and rhythm, but then contrasting those, and contrasting the different rhythmic figures and different amounts of sustain or single string playing to build the energy and help you again get into the feel without having to know anything else but those melody notes. So that is the big takeaway. Now here is what I want you to do with this information. I want you to take this and apply. I want you to really get comfortable with Old Joe Clark. I want you to take this and apply it at least to Cluck Old Hen and Angeline the Baker. If you want to take it into some of the other tunes on our list, that would be really, really you will just really reiterate these skills and start probably finding more there than you really think there is. And then in our next session, what I'd like to do is start with, we'll take a different tune than Old Joe Clark, and we'll do this kind of rapid fire session where I will just call out a feel that we'll all try to grab at the same time. I might do it as 2-string, eighth notes, quarter notes, single string. I'll just try to call it out, and we'll go through that a few times. So that's like the challenge, and we'll start off the next session playing through that. So yeah. And again, this is what we did today. If I were at home working on this, I would have taken each one of those things we played together when we went all the way through the tune. I would have done that I would have repeated those a lot to really deepen the feel of each technique all the way through the tune. Then put some time into repetition of, can I mix and match in a number of ways? How many ways can I do that on this tune? How many variations can I come up with? What you'll find is you really spend the time in the repetition of it. The ideas start flowing, and you start really feeling great, and you're playing the tune a little different each time. So that is my hope for you guys with this stuff, and hope it's helpful.
That was great, Sharon. Thanks, you. Dan. I think this question was answered, but Betsy asked about explaining the shuffle bow. So if you want to just take a minute and address that a little bit.
Yes.
I think that does it.
Good. Yeah. I didn't really tie that into where it comes from. The shuffle bow is a fiddle bowing pattern. And there's a number of shuffles that fiddlers do with the bow. So you can imagine they're shuffling the bow, right? But this is this pattern that we have here, which is 1, 2, and 3, 4, and, or down, down, up in your pick direction. So again, this is the rhythm that fiddlers or any mandolin player would kick off a tune going down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. Again, you can imagine a fiddler. It's just so rhythmic, right? Especially, you can really imagine that groove when you think about pulling a bow through that rhythm. So imagine that as you're playing this shuffle bow rhythm.
That's great. Just one other question from Anne Marie, who said, I was struck by what you said about the rhythm of melody and doing the opposite. Would you give us an example of that? So is that something you can talk about quickly?
Yes, and it's here in this last thing we did. So I started the first A here, just like the melody occurs, so that you, so that then I can contrast it in, I think in the second line here. So the main melody for Old Joe Clark is those quarter notes, right? A little bit of shuffle at the end of the lines. But I come back in on the third phrase of the first A part. So it's just a way, all of a sudden, that thing that was just this super simple. So I can lean into it and drive it harder if I go into those constant eights. So that's contrasting. I haven't changed the melody at all, but I filled it in and added a little life to it, hopefully there.